episode. This is just a wandering nerd, and wanted to introduce you to our main base here. This is outside of Spawn Town, and we get a little bit bigger area. Can do a little more with some redstone, some automation, some farms. Sort of really expand our building styles. And I did record another episode, and it didn't really come out during the initial build and sort of shape of this, but give you guys a walk through this real quick. It's still a work in process. We're going to be doing different parts of it. Very similar to our Spawn Town house with the spruce log stones. We'll come back through and we'll put some bricks and cracked brick in here. This is sort of just our starting area with sort of a courtyard here. I'm not sure what we're going to do with the roof or anything like that. Oak floors. Really early in the process. And then down here we've been working on our storage room, a smelter. I did this. I had filmed this. This just sort of the audio was absolutely terrible on it. So unfortunately you didn't want to put that out for you. But it's a relatively simple process. What we do is we have a minecart chest and minecart here combinations going into a comparator, and that lifts this piston whenever you load this. So we come in here with a load of coal, we put that in there, it goes down this track, hooks up and around, pretty standard process, and then all these hoppers pick it up and it returns out. And we have the same thing here on our smelting item, except the track is a little bit longer. It comes down, goes underneath this one, up and around, and then comes back over. A little bit longer path, a little bit more track, but sort of wanted to do that to try to get this enclosed in this particular space that I had. Part of the reason I wanted to keep things sort of tight is I often give myself a space, and then when I'm working with redstone or anything like that, try to constrain it within that space just to see what I can do. And then here's our output. We've been cooking some fish and smelting some materials that we've been getting. But this is just sort of the introduction in here to this base, and what I wanted to do today was go over to our Spawn Town and Marketplace, and we're gonna set up a little community project over there that I'm gonna be working on, and I will see you when we get over there. And welcome back. So what I'm going to work on today, and this probably isn't going to be completed in just today, is we've got this start of a nice covered bridge coming in from our Spawn Town across a river here that we've jumped across many times here so far, that heads out into the Market District. And what I was going to do is I'm going to build a desert path, and I sort of laid out with some nether brick where this path is going to meander over to the market area, and it's a relatively short path, so it shouldn't take that long to do. But the goal is just sort of to get a marked area and get some lighting in. I've already come through here and got some lighting into the general area to try to keep it safe. Just sort of pumpkins and yellow glass, something simple to do. Try to get rid of all these torches. I'm definitely one of those that are against torches in finished builds. But the goal is to bring the path in to the nether portal here. We'll have to remove this temporary magna block sail location, and but to bring the path into here, sort of tie it in with everything else that's going on here. I kind of have a unique idea I haven't seen before to try to get a quote desert path look and feel. So I am going to go out and collect a bunch of resources, and then we'll begin laying the path in. So off to go do some work. Welcome back. So we've gone through, we've picked up a bunch of supplies here for this path, and going to be using some sandstone, some sand, a little bit of coarse dirt, maybe grass right around here around this bridge, and we're going to do some of the dead bushes and cactuses around. I'm probably have to go get some string to sort of keep the cactus down to a certain level. For paths along the way, and then a little bit of birch, probably in some fences, in order to sort of control the path as far as sort of sides on it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take out a little bit of this bottom layer here and sort of start laying in the basics of it, and we'll get started. And as I start laying in some of the blocks to sort of show you what we're going to do, I'll bring it back. Alright, and we're back here. So I dug out a little bit of this area right in here. I just want to get it started, have you take a look at it. In the process of transitioning this, we picked up some sand. We brought the grass a little further up from below. Going to be probably come down here and replace one or two more of these grass blocks with a little bit of sand, sort of have them intermix. We'll do the same in here once this spreads. We'll use a couple of path blocks probably coming right in off of here. But what we're going to do for the majority of the path is, once we get it transitioned from sand, is we're going to use sort of a sandstone path to begin with. And it's not where I wanted to put those. What we'll do is bring out a path. We'll just do a simple 3x3 path here. And we'll intermix in some of the some other shapes in here, but this is a different texture than the sand, and that's really the whole point of that, is to make it have a different look and feel texture-wise. If you do a lot of other paths, you'll see dirt and the path blocks and so forth running in here. And what I'm going to do is we'll have a couple of these places where it'll extend over and come around. So we'll probably take this over here, sort of give it a weaving look, sort of a wandering look. But as it starts off, it probably is not going to. So, a couple here, and then fill these other parts in with some sand. And it is the same, unfortunately, the same look. Very similar color to the regular sand, and what we want to do is we want to add additional texture to it. So what we're going to do is there's a texture that happens with sandstone that you don't see a lot, because it's not a real common texture to be used. And what it is that if you take a stair and you put it upside down, you get a cracked look similar to the bottom of a piece of sandstone. And I thought we would put upside down stairs periodically throughout the path in certain spots, sort of to give some texture to it for the path. Sort of walked on sand, sort of been beaten down, and then come across on the sides, and we'll be adding in some additional some decorations on the sides here to sort of frame out the path. You can definitely tell if I step forward, you can see all of the sandstone. It does look different than the sand. It sort of gets lost, but this additional texture, which we may be using a little bit more than I thought we would, as we start looking at it, to sort of really start framing it out, to give it a good, a noticeable where that path is at, where it's moving to. It should be an interesting look when it's all done. So I'm going to continue to work this path the rest of the way down. Do some terraforming as we go along. Some shapes in there. We'll use some half slabs of sandstone, and I'll get a good chunk of this done, and then we'll come back and we'll drop in some of the decorations and fences along the sides there. So I will see you on the other side of the cut. Welcome back. So, laid out part of this curve here, you can kind of see it. Um, if you're standing back over here and you're walking along the path, you can really sort of see where it's going to go, where the signs are, or the blocks are changing on it. But now it's time to sort of put the edges on it. And these are the 4 items we're going to use. We're going to sort of try to stay natural. So most of the desert has a bunch of cacti and the dead bushes. So went through and I picked up a bunch of them. And we're going to stack some of them up here. And what we're going to do is just sort of put some up on the edges here. Going to add some fences here and there, sort of to define the edges, sort of close it in a little bit, give it that kind of a look. We'll come back along, and what we'll do is we'll set up a couple of these with, like for example, these cacti right here. I'll come along, I'll come back, and I'll put string on top of these two to keep them at those heights. I just don't have any on hand right now, and sort of give us the ability to get a couple of different edges and borders. And then the last thing we're going to do is we'll do a couple of these sort of scrub bushes that we're going to do here. These won't go that high. Took a little bit of time trying to figure out which leaf I wanted to use there. The jungle leaf turns really brown. It's the only one in the desert that really sort of says desert. The rest of them kind of have still have a lot more green. With the default yellows, this becomes a much a darker looking leaf in there. And we'll do a couple of them here, just sort of some small bushes, sort of framing the path. You'll get some shears so I can take these out. And then what we'll do is on the back end of this is we're going to have we will have some lighting, and I'm still working on that one. That's probably the last thing I'm going to do. Back in the village, we've sort of been working out a light that goes up and over. Part of me is really thinking of doing some daylight sensors and some redstone lamps that are gonna sort of that'll turn on at the nights and so forth like that, rather than trying to keep something with a glowstone lamp. I haven't really decided on that one. That probably may not be done in this episode. We may do that on the next one as we're going through and sort of finishing that up, and may get some input from a couple of the other people on the server and see if they have any ideas. Or you're more than welcome to post up some comments and sort of throw some ideas out at me as far as what would look good. Definitely always interested in the input of everybody around. Another cactus can be a little bit dangerous, but we're professionals here. We should be able to avoid that. And with all of these trims on this path here, you can really sort of see where the path is going to go now. And once we get those all in there, it'll definitely start showing much more of an actual path, and you can definitely see where it's going to turn, where it's going to go, and not have to worry about what it's doing or guessing where that path is. It sort of does a good job framing out the path. So one of the last things we'll do, like I said, is get some lighting on this one. And then that should be our. We want to make it a safe path all the way between the market district back over to our spawn town. So I'll continue along on this path, get her finished up, and then we'll take a stroll on the back end of it, and when we get it all done. And we're back. We've now got this path between our market or the bazaar area. finished here. We'll just take a walk back. Still working on the lights, haven't completely got that figured out. A couple of these cacti over on this end, I need to go and harvest some string and get them set up for certain heights. But this is it's a relatively short path. It's fairly simple. Just sort of filled out, sort of edged along the sides. I think it turned out pretty well. I asked for some feedback here on this one, and got a bunch of people saying they really enjoyed it. So that is going to be this episode. If you have any suggestions for this or some of the lighting, definitely leave a comment. You can find me on Twitter at @awanderingnerd. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you would like to see more, definitely subscribe, and we'll get more out to you. So until next time, this is A Wandering Nerd.